We don't even realize that we think Islam looks like what the Western movies showed us Islam looks like. We don't even realize that we've fallen victim to that narrative of ourselves, which is a crazy thing to kind of pop that.
Dystopia almost.
And you have to pop that balloon in your mind and
Welcome to another episode of Recipe to Success. Today, I'm honored, humbled, because I have one of my favorite creators on, and I think this is going to be one of our best episodes yet. Layla, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. That was such a kind introduction. Thank
It's the truth.
you.
It's the truth.
Oh, bless you.
Layla, for anyone who doesn't know you, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Where do I start? Bismillah. So my name is Layla. And I host a podcast with my dad called Conversations with My Conscience, where you hear my dad, but you don't see him. And it's basically the comeback for Islam. You know what I mean? We're reintroducing Islam because I think Islamophobia and propaganda has run rampant and very wild with the narrative on us. And it's about time that we take back control of how we're viewed, what we say, and how we behave. And so I'm an avid Muslim is how I describe myself, honestly.
Where did that come from? Because you are very courageous with some of your views and with how you come across online, almost like you felt like you had a higher purpose. But how did that begin? How did that journey begin?
If I'm being really transparent, it's two things, and I'll try to keep it as short and sweet as possible. After October 7, just the gaslighting that we had been given as Palestinians and as Muslim just rubbed me the wrong way, and I'd reached a point of enough is enough. And I had a video go viral, and then a friend tell me, go into a studio and speak, just start. And I called my dad, I was like, yo, do you want to go into a studio? He's like, book it. And subhanAllah, every video I've posted since then has just reached the target audience, you know what I mean? And the second thing is, a few years ago, I just had this come to Jesus moment, and I was watching Candace Owens. And she was this conviction in the way she spoke. And I remember turning the video off and saying, she's a little condescending. And then I was like, no, but you like her. So what is it about this that rubbed you the wrong way? And subhanAllah, I went and I prayed, and it's as if God just held up a mirror in my face. And it's not that she's condescending. It's that there's something so attractive and powerful about speaking with conviction and knowing what you're talking about that it rubs my ego the wrong way, because I didn't have that faith in myself, and I was kind of wishy-washy, like, hey, life just happens to you. Yeah, I'm a Muslim, I'm supposed to pray. Ramadan, we fast. And even though I'd been raised with these beliefs, so I craved this power within me that comes from God, that God told me how I'm supposed to be and how Muslims are supposed to behave and what's right from wrong. And I just needed to tap back into that. And then subhanAllah, I think just connecting with God gives you everything that you need. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And such a unique style of podcast that you have. Like you said, you just asked your dad, like that's a normal thing that we're going to book a studio. But how did that begin? Like, what made you think I'm going to do a podcast with my father behind the camera?
So it didn't start off that way. My dad was like, I don't want my voice heard. My face will never be online. It's non-negotiable. And if you meet my dad, you'll understand when he says no, it means no. So we went into the studio, and at the time, our videographer / producer who was behind the camera, she just loved the way the conversation flowed, and I would just take clips from what I would say and post that. I didn't have full episodes, yet. And one day she was just telling my dad, and she calls him Baba, because everyone who meets my dad just falls in love with him and calls him Baba. She's like, Baba, you have to, people need to hear what you're saying. She's like, I feel like I'm getting free, just gold sitting here with you. And he was like, no. And then she told him, it's like you're the voice of God. I'm not gonna cry. And then he started tearing up, and he's like, let's do it. So subhanAllah, I think it was the spiritual message behind it, and seeing the effect that it had on someone who, but mind you, wasn't Muslim, but just someone who gravitated towards what we say because the truth is powerful. And that's what got him to do it.
Have you always had a strong relationship with your father?
Yes and no. He has been the most phenomenal man anyone could ever have the honor of meeting. He is powerful, he's magnetic, he's so spiritual, and he knows the true essence of God. And being a teenager and a girl teenager with propaganda and feminism in media, we butted heads a lot. And I always tell people who kind of brush us off and just say, oh, it's so easy to say that when you have such a good relationship with your dad. The hell that it took for us to get to where we are. People undermine that because we just show the beauty now. But I wouldn't have it any other way. I think my dad and I thought he was a megalomaniac for some time. I was like, ugh, this man. But it takes a lot of breaking of egos to get to where you don't get there easily. And then subhanAllah, I'm very happy with how it turned out. I'm very happy for all the pain to get to where we are today.
So would you say you described yourself as a feminist before? When you used to clash? Yes
and no. I think to a certain limit, because the whole free the nipple thing was never up my radar. And I'd always kind of...
It was too far.
I'd always see that and be like, oh, that's a little weird. But I think just in general, growing up, and we'd watch Gossip Girl and The Vampire Diaries. It sounds ridiculous, but
it's conditioning from a young age.
You can't undermine how much of a sponge we were, and all the propaganda that's just shoved down your throat endlessly through music, through social media, through just everything. And we grew up obviously with Instagram coming about, Snapchat, all of these things. So I wouldn't call I identified with their ideology in the sense of like, yeah, the patriarchy is the reason we can't do anything. And if a guy does it, it's fine. But if a girl does it, she's labeled the whore of Babylon. Do you know what I mean? So I fell for that for a little bit, but snapped out of it real quick, alhamdulillah, very quickly.
One of the things I personally believe is that when feminism first came about, it was for positive things. It was women need to vote, women need to drive, women need to have more rights, especially human rights. They should have the same level, right? But I personally feel that somewhere along the way, and people may not agree with this, but I feel that somewhere along the way, there was an overcorrection where it was like women had to now be better than men, not even equal anymore, but better, and they needed to have more. And I just feel that the way the world is today, it's just like maybe we've gone too far in the other direction. But I don't know, like I'm kind of sitting in this episode excited to learn from you as well, because I think it is refreshing to hear different opinions and, you know, sometimes righting the wrongs that have been done or that we've seen, like you said. So what are your thoughts on how feminism is today?
So I'm going to have to, I understand where you're coming from, but I'm going to have to disagree. I'll tell you why. Because I also fell for that for a little bit, where I was like, it started off right, somewhere along the way we lost the plot. But I had to take a step back and come at it through an Islamic lens, because like I said, I'm a Muslim first and foremost. And you don't see this online. No one wants to acknowledge this. No one wants to address that the Prophet ﷺ gave women their rights. The right to inherit, the right to own, the right to divorce, the right. Islam in its essence is feminist. It puts the woman first in every way. Now, there are some things that you might see and say, oh, but that kind of limits a woman. But I also think Islam is discipline, and it has to control your ego, be it if you are a man or a woman. And women, in some cases, do need to be saved from themselves, the same way that men need to be saved from themselves. And I think this is where Islam comes to control the ego and allow you to flourish in the best way possible in the eye of Allah, the way we were intended. So do I think feminism came to give us our rights? No, because Islam gave it to us to begin with. That being said, did people use Islam to control women and take away their rights? Absolutely. Did the West use certain ideologies to take away the rights from their women? Absolutely. But I don't think we needed feminism that came from the West. And people also tend to really forget that it was created by a white man. You know what I mean? To save us as Muslim women, we don't need that. We can go back to our book and what God intended for us and the true essence of Islam and find our rights within that book. Do you see what I mean? So I understand why maybe the West thought they needed that, but again, that's not my issue, and it's not what's made for me or meant for me. Do you know what I mean?
It's like Allah knows us best.
I mean.
So of course, the roles and responsibilities of a woman and a man, they are different, and we have our own kind of skills and things that we have to focus on, right?
Absolutely. I think it's one of the comments that I get a lot, that, oh, you need to embrace feminism. It's the reason you have a podcast. I'm like, I don't know, but Sidna Khadija was an entrepreneur when the Prophet ﷺ married her. But again, you'll have ignorant people comment, no, but she worked from home. I'm like, with what Wi-Fi? With what Wi-Fi did she work from home?
Remote working.
Like, astaghfirullah, the way that people will just twist and change history and facts to suit their ideology, it's it's sad to see. But I will remain steadfast in my beliefs.
I feel like there's so many misconceptions, aren't there? Like I was listening to a clip the other day I saw on Instagram, and it was something along the lines of how in today's world, when, let's say my friend, I'm seeing his wife, that I shouldn't address her, that I shouldn't speak directly to her.
I saw that clip.
Right? But whereas the Prophet's times, the Sahaba, and they always used to, ask about how is your wife and how is she doing and blah, blah, blah. But I think now somewhere along the line, we've become so analytical and critical of one another that we lose the true essence of our beautiful religion.
I mean, I agree. Do you know who Sheikh Hamza Yusuf is?
It sounds familiar.
Okay, so I talk about him a lot on my podcast. Him and Dr. Umar Farouk Al-Abdullah. They're, I think both of them are American men who reverted to Islam in their youth. I think Sheikh Hamza Yusuf was 18 when he reverted to Islam, if I'm not mistaken. And I need to stop twisting and turning.
It's okay.
Bismillah. And I believe it was Mauritania where he went and lived with a Muslim family, and it's where he learned Islam. He speaks Arabic better than most people I know, subhanAllah. Like his fusha is beautiful. And he talked about how I think it was a decade later that he went back to visit the same sheikh and wife whom he had lived with and learned from. And he said a decade later or 2 decades later, the wife comes up to him and she's like, Hamza, how are you? How is, for example, Yara? How is Sarah? How is Ahmed? His mom, his sister, his brother. And he was so humbled by the way she remembered every detail of his life from 2 decades or a decade ago, because that's how present she was. So subhanAllah, it's just changing the lens from which you view things. So if I see you and I say, Salamu alaikum, how are you? How is so-and-so your wife or so-and-so your mother? Rather than seeing it as, whoa, you're sexualizing my wife, if I were a man, for example, see it as care, as the adab of Islam, the community where we care for one another, that you spoke to me about your beautiful family a decade ago, and I took that in honor, and I remembered it a decade later. It's the way we view things. But people have this weird fetish and kink about over-sexualizing and over-fantasizing Muslim women and men. And it's not from our fitrah. It's not from us. And we've adopted it. For what reason? Obviously, the hate on Islam is running rampant. I think it's done by design.
Very true. So what does being a woman mean to you? What is like being, I wouldn't say a modern woman, because, obviously, of course, we have to adapt with the times, but also we've got the best example in our Quran. So what would you say you define as a woman?
I think it's everything my God and my Prophet ﷺ asked me to be. So it can come in so many different ways. It can come from the positive and what would be considered the negative. So the positive about the respect that we bring, the nurturing that we bring, the strength that we bring, because there are a lot of stories of female warriors who fought by the Prophet ﷺ's side, and they're stories that make my skin crawl because of how powerful they are. And then I look at Sitna Khadija, Sitna Aisha, Sitna Fatima, and I have so many examples of these gorgeous women that I can look up to and emulate. But then I also have like we said, saving us from ourselves. In the Quran you have Inna kaydahunna azim, that our cunning is great. And I've said it time and time again, a woman's arsenal of choice is gossip and to ruin your reputation. So these are things that I also need to watch out from, like to be careful for it to happen to me, and also of me doing it to others, because I am a woman at the end of the day, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So to me, being a woman is being what my God intended me to be Islamically. And I'm still learning. I'm still on that journey. And I just think it's giving each other a little bit more grace to get there. You know what I mean?
Definitely. It's a journey, right? And how do you ever struggle to balance the two, the world that we live in today and the woman that Allah and our Prophet wanted you to be?
I used to. I really used to, because I was still trying to appease the creation rather than the creator. And the second I snapped out of that, I just don't care anymore. I am so focused on God and my Prophet ﷺ and my prayers and waking up for Fajr and doing what I need to do and my zakah and giving back and taking care of my family that I don't care what anyone else says. I wasn't built to please the creation. And the creation will never be pleased. You could be the sweetest peach in the world and there's still going to be someone who hates peaches. Yeah, excuse me. And I used to struggle with it heavily. Now I just don't care. I don't care for people's opinion. I don't care for their ideologies. I don't care for their beliefs. And I don't care for the negativity at all. It means nothing to me and it's water off my back. And there's a clip that went viral of this man who was talking about an episode of Rick and Morty where Rick says, your boos mean nothing to me. I've seen what makes you cheer. And that rung so true with me because I've seen what makes people cheer and I've seen how they flip on you at a dime and they want you to apologize and then they cancel you. You can't cancel me. I'm Muslim. Try your hardest. So I just don't care now. People will always have something to say, subhanallah. Ugh. People always have something to say.
Honestly. And I guess you've probably developed thick skin over the past couple of years. I would say you border on the controversy side when it comes to some opinions because like you said, you sometimes rub people the wrong way because you're telling the truth and it hits them like how you said Candace Owens hit you. But how has that journey been? Because obviously, of course, there's going to be horrible opinions. And there's also going to be a lot of amazing support because it's refreshing to see someone with views like yours.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. I think I've always had thick skin because I view these people online as the same people who bullied me in high school. I'm like, y'all peaked in high school. I'm good. And and maybe that's like what's the word I'm looking for? The layer of me protecting myself and what's the word I'm looking for?
Like a defense mechanism.
Defense mechanism. My brain just went blank. Like a defense mechanism. But if I'm being really honest, sometimes I'll have the initial like, oh, they don't even know what they're talking about, but I immediately calm down or push that to the side. And I feel bad for them. Because I like I said off camera, in the Quran, there's an ayah, وَأَكْثَرُهُمْ لِلْحَقِّ كَارِهُونَ, which means most of them hate the truth. So, and at the end of the day, everything must come to the light. Everything will be haqq at the end of the day. So if your truth and your light rubs their demons and irritates them, how would you expect to be polished? I think Rumi is the one who said, if you are disturbed or irritated by every rub, how do you expect to be polished? So it's okay. A little bit of pain, a little bit of discomfort, a lot of pain, a lot of discomfort. But maybe they get there in the end and maybe they don't. But I cannot sway my opinion for public acknowledgement and validation. I need to stay on the haqq. And if that means 99% of people turn around and hate me, then 99% of people turn around and hate me. I have to stay true to my God. That's what matters.
Do you feel that you, over time, through the success of your podcast, you've been able to kind of silence some people or change some people's opinions? Or do you think that they're set in their ways?
I'm not sure. If I'm being honest, I'm not sure. What I do know is, alhamdulillah, by the grace of God, in the past 2 years, I've had thousands of people DM me that they've reverted to Islam thanks to the podcast. Either they discovered Islam through the podcast or they were already interested in Islam, and subhanAllah, the algorithm sends them my way. So that's been amazing. It's such a gift, which is what I focus on the most. I have had a lot of people DM me, oh, I was so stuck in the feminism and victim mentality and you really swayed me into this direction and you really opened my eyes. But I haven't had someone go from an extreme Islamophobe or on that.
Because they probably wouldn't resonate with you anyway.
Oh, no, they're just leaving comments like, get back in the kitchen, which is fine. I love the kitchen.
Let's talk about young Layla, because obviously who you are today is obviously a culmination of your childhood, your upbringing, and of course maybe along the way sometimes we go a certain direction and then we need to be pulled back into the right direction. Was Deen always a part of your life, or is that something that it developed over time?
No, Deen was always a part of my life. Alhamdulillah, I'm born and raised a Sufi. My dad is very spiritual. My mom never missed a prayer. But I think it was going through a lot of hardship and my dad losing all of his money and going through really some of the toughest days you could ever think of. and diving into religion so deeply, it's very interesting to see a man be broken, but like literally the world try to break you, but remain steadfast in his faith and wake up for Fajr every day and refuse to be broken by the dunya and really focused on God. It shifted something in me, in my fundamentally to my core. I refused to be weak and let something break me. So just seeing religion in that way, oh my God, it was life-changing. And then also my dad, bless his soul, is like a marshmallow. He'll talk about Hassan and Hussein and cry. He'd talk about the Prophet ﷺ and cry. And there was something so magical about it that I was almost jealous. I was like, no, I want to have that love. I want to have what he has. And just it opened a whole new world for me. I'm really grateful for Islam.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you feel that we have a problem within our ummah? Because I feel that there is, I don't want to mention any names, but there's definitely people out there that you probably know. And I just feel that Islam has become, or not Islam, Muslims have become so judgmental in the West especially. And it's almost like it pushes people away. I've seen it happen firsthand where people have a negative connotation because of Muslims that made it that way. And so they feel that, you know, oh, I'm sinning, so I shouldn't go to the mosque. I'm sinning, so I shouldn't pray. You know, this person's going to judge me. Do you think we have an issue there?
100%. But I think every religion has this issue. This is the hal al-alam. This is the state of humanity. Judgment, gossip, all of these things. It's just the way the world is. And it's one of the things that we have to, as an ummah, learn. To judge less, to gossip less, to trespass less. And it's one of the things that really pushed me to want to talk is that I've heard it time and time again. Oh, you're not a hijabi. Why are you even talking about Islam? Oh, you don't look a certain way, or you don't fit the mold of what we've decided Islam looks like. And we don't even realize that we think Islam looks like what the Western movies showed us Islam looks like. We don't even realize that we've fallen victim to that narrative of ourselves, which is a crazy thing to kind of pop that.
Dystopia almost.
Yeah. And you have to pop that balloon in your mind and kind of recognize, oh, I've been wrong. And it's something that people struggle with, because if I tell you, oh no, you're wrong, or if you think, oh, I'm wrong, you think everything about you is evil and bad, but that's not true. It's human nature to make mistakes and learn from it. Hence the Quran and the Prophet that we've been sent. You know, بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. It means we are already not perfect in our akhlaq, and we have a role model to look up to. And that's why we have to look at ourselves and acknowledge that we were wrong, so that we can try to emulate the Prophet ﷺ better. And what better way is there to do that than to go like, oh, I think I was a little too judgmental there. Oh, maybe I should have shown that person some forgiveness and some grace. Maybe my ego was affected and that's why I was so vicious with them, excuse me. These are things that really matter. Do you see what I mean? So I think as an ummah, I think everyone's just a sinner, judging other sinners for sinning differently. Shams of Tabriz said this the best. It's just you sin with what you're comfortable with. And let's say, for example, I drink alcohol. And I'm like, in the grand scheme of things, it's a small sin, for example. But you sin by, for example, having sexual relations out of marriage. But because I'm uncomfortable with that, I'm like, whoa, you're not a Muslim, you can't be. But I'm okay, because I'm sinning in a way that's comfortable to me, but you're sinning in a way that makes me uncomfortable. What could be more demonic and more egotistical? It's not what we were put on this earth to do, at all.
Is there such a thing as double standards though? Because I genuinely have been to dinner with people that will ask if the food is halal, but they will have alcohol in their cup. I'm not joking. I'm being serious.
Okay, I understand what you mean, because it's the one thing all Muslims agree on. We don't eat pork. I get it. I've seen...
No. Forget pork. Pork is obviously a stretch. But even just, okay, is the food halal? Is the chicken halal? But then they're pouring their champagne in their glass.
I think this is where I'm a little bit too open-minded. Is there a double standard? Yes. Is it the end of the world? No.
Some people would say, sorry to cut you off, but some people would say that like the person who, like for example, two wrongs don't make a right. So if he's asking if the food is halal, at least he's not eating haram, and cool, that's his weakness, whatever it may be. But others would argue that's double standards and that's hypocrisy.
Those people need to relax. Those people need to take a deep breath and remember why God put us on this earth. So I had I'll give you a story. Let me know if that answers your question. One of my main goals in life was to start waking up for Fajr. It was my dream. I want to wake up for Fajr and not just wake up whenever I wake up, awwad Fajr, and then pray the rest of my prayers. Months and months and months, because I had a really volatile relationship with sleep. Alhamdulillah, it worked out. And I started waking up for Fajr, pray my 5 prayers on time. It has changed my life in more ways than I could ever put into words. Okay? I have nails. So a lot of people would comment, your salah isn't accepted because you have nails on. So I'll ask you as a Muslim, would you rather I stop praying? Or would you rather I pray that I have the strength
Pray with the nails.
There we go. So yeah, he's asking if the food is halal and he's maybe having a glass of champagne. You don't know what he prays for at night. You don't know if he's praying to God to help him stop champagne. You don't know if he's praying to God to help him wake up for Fajr every day. You don't know if he's praying to God for anything. You have no idea what goes on between him and his God. And that to me is where I'm saying as Muslims, we need to show each other grace. You have no idea what I was praying for. I removed my nails for months, put them back now on because I had events, but you best believe I'm still waking up for Fajr. Do you see what I mean?
For sure.
So double standard, double standard, but encourage your fellow Muslim to do better, but also don't get involved where you're not meant to get involved. You know what I mean? So for example, if I see a girl with nails on, I'm not going to be like, Habibi, the prayer's not going to be, you know why? 9 times out of 10, they're going to leave Islam. 9 times out of 10, they're gonna leave Islam. It's the same way I have people in my DMs, men and women alike, wear your hijab. Dude, lower your gaze. I don't know what skeletons you have in your closet as a woman. Stay in your lane. You have no idea what I pray for when I'm with my God alone. So I think it's just the double standards is an excuse for people to judge each other a little more harshly.
I think that's why a lot of young people, they resonate with certain sheikhs or muftis because they feel that they're softer in their approach, that they're not super judgmental, they're guiding, they make it clear that, it's a journey, iman is up and down as well, and that you're never going to be completely, we're always figuring it out. Even the way the Quran was revealed, it was done in stages, and so Allah makes it easy for us rather than trying to make it harder for us. So that's amazing that you say that. I want to understand, in a world full of chaos that we're currently living in, so much tragedy around the world, it's become almost difficult in certain places to hold on to our religion because of, like you said, people's opinions or Islamophobia, xenophobia, whatever it is. And I think that people are now becoming fearsome to the point that they don't want to publicly even talk about Palestine or, whatever's happening in the world. Have you ever had that moral quandary in your mind when creating content that, I'm going to avoid this, or I'm going to maybe steer away from this? Because being real and authentic is almost a rarity nowadays.
I agree. No, I haven't had that moral quandary. I've been a very avid speaker on Palestine because I'm Palestinian myself. I've always said what I believe is true and right. I've always said what I would say in front of God or the Prophet ﷺ, because that's something you need to also consider. If my Prophet were with me, because we have to behave like our God and our Prophet are always with us, watching us at every second of every day. So I've always tried to remain true to that. Unfortunately, I've been shadow banned for months because of certain things that I say and people reporting me, and it's an occupational hazard. It comes with the job, right? So I take a step back just to get the content back on, and then I go back to what I was saying, because at the end of the day, I'm here to help Muslims find the light again. As long as I'm allowed to by God, it is what I will continue to do. So no, I don't have that moral quandary, because if I waver with my faith in what Allah wants from me, He will take it all away. I don't doubt that. That's why لَأَنْ شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. The more grateful we are, the more He gives us. So I'm grateful for the platform and the voice He's given me, and I will stay true to that, because I know He'll take it away if I don't. My dad said something to me when we first started this and we started going viral. He looked at me and he was dead serious. He was like, you stay true to what God put you on this earth to do, because if you don't, He'll take it away, because He cares for your soul more than He cares for your dunya. And that's how beautiful my God is that He will take it away from me to get my soul back on track while I'm still here, because that's how much He loves me, and I move accordingly. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Definitely. And do you think that there is a right or wrong way for a woman to live? Like you said earlier, people say to you, get back to the kitchen, right? And there are obviously going to be gender kind of responsibilities that we lean towards, right? So for some people, that's genuinely what they've seen. They've seen their mother in the kitchen their whole life, a housewife or whatever. So when they grow up, they think that's the norm. Do you think that there is set responsibilities for a man and a woman? Obviously, our religion has taught us, but do you think that, or do you think that no, I'm able to do whatever I want. I don't have any things that I need to be set on?
No, I obviously 100% believe that there are certain things that are required of a man and of a woman based on what my religion requires of me, based on what propaganda and media requires of me. That means nothing to me. But I look at, for example, the Prophet ﷺ with Sidna Khadija, and then I look at the Prophet ﷺ with his wives after that. And Sidna Aisha used to counsel men. They used to come and ask her for advice. So my religion in its essence has shown me that there's so much beauty to a man and a woman, and there's so much wisdom that both can offer. And everything is allowed as long as it's not detrimental to yourself and to society. The best way that I can explain this was, there was a Miley Cyrus song growing up. What was it? We Can't Stop, right? Can't Stop. She went a little crazy. Bless her soul. Bless her cotton socks. And I think there was a lyric in that song that it's my body, I can do what I want, or something along those lines. And I remember I was just a teenager when that song came out. I think I was 16, 17. And I remember being taken aback and thinking, but my body's a loan from God and I have to give it back. So everything is allowed as long as you acknowledge that your body is alone and you have to give it back. So what you do on this earth, it matters. Taking care of your husband and your children, it matters. Providing for your wife and your kids and giving them security matters. Allowing your woman to have a voice, to maybe have a positive impact on people, alhamdulillah, the way I've been blessed to do, and have people revert to Islam, it matters. My dad and my mother played a role in allowing me to have the voice that I have. Imagine if they raised me to say you belong in the kitchen. Do you see what I mean? But they taught me the way my Prophet ﷺ told them they should teach me. They did the best that they could. But we all have a role to play. And I don't know why this is such a crazy thing to say. I don't understand why this is so controversial in today's society. I need someone to make this make sense to me.
Do you think that, like, although obviously there's those norms, like you said, obviously motherly and, you want to be nurturing and all these things. You feel that you have a voice and you need to use it. But do you feel that that's not for everyone? Because also, like, as an example, right? So some people, they push women in business and careers. Others say we shouldn't. And like you said, we've got examples. But even our religion, it comes down to almost interpretation sometimes, right? Someone can take something from an ayah and someone else can take something else from it. So how do you deal with that? Like, do you ever struggle with that? Because there's so many different schools of thought, so many different opinions. Like, how do you have that conviction in what you're doing is right?
What am I allowed to say? Wait.
You're allowed to say whatever you want.
This is where it gets a little interesting. If it's in the Quran, it's what I care about.
Because, sorry, like, let me just add something to that. So, like,
go for it.
Women in the West that are non-Muslim, the narrative is Islam is a religion of oppression for women, right? But people that read those same ayahs will see it as, no, this is empowerment. This is actually how we're supposed to be. So how like, that's where sometimes I think people struggle.
100%, for sure. But I also think if you're looking for trouble, you'll find trouble. So if I want to open the Quran and astaghfirullah, take it as a book of violence, I can find the excerpts that show that it's such a violent, aggressive, and gory religion. I can also twist and turn other ayat to feed what I am looking for. As if we haven't had, leaders in the past in our history use our religion for their own egotistical benefit. Of course we have. Every religion has. But this isn't that there is a aib or a wrong in the religion. It is the aib and the wrong in the human. The religion has stayed the same throughout the years. The people have changed. So why is it that you've had Muslim leaders like Salah ad-Din it makes me cry just to think of him. He was such a beautiful leader. But then you have other people who have used our religion to the detriment of our society. But this is hal al-insan. This is the fitrah of the person. The religion stays the same. The people change. Does that make sense? So yeah, you can take anything and turn it into a bad thing. Anything. This is human behavior. You know what I mean? But this is why we need to stay true and steadfast in the way we speak and the way we converse and the way we give each other the grace and the space to become the best Muslims that we can be. Because if we're just going to flip on a dime and allow people to take our book and tell us what it is and be wishy-washy with it, we'll never survive as an ummah, ever.
One direction I want to go into is, you know, obviously, like you said, there's a certain characteristic that, you know, women have. And sometimes I feel a bit saddened by what's happening today. Like I have a very close friend of mine who volunteered for family affairs, like, you know, people that can't afford like solicitors and stuff that need a bit of help and guidance and stuff like this. And, you know, during those cases, one of the things he saw was actually how women were being violent, and not just in terms of physical, but also in terms of verbal. And men, I think, like I've actually met men who they feel embarrassed to even speak out, and they often suffer in silence from verbal abuse, even domestic abuse. And it's really saddens me because it's almost like a forgotten topic, you know? In the West, obviously I live in the UK, and we always hear about, you know, domestic abuse against women. And of course, we don't condone that in any way, shape or form. But why is it that there's not the same energy when it comes to the opposite gender? And what would you say to those situations of in our religion of women, you know, Muslim women using their voice in a negative manner, or even, you know, to a certain extent, maybe domestic abuse? Because let's say, for example, we're having a disagreement and you push me, right? If I push you back, I'm the bad guy. But no one wants to talk about the fact that you push me first. And what happens when that happens over months, years of abuse and silence internally? Of course, that kettle is going to pop at some point.
I understand.
So, of course, like I said, just for those watching, we don't condone any violence, but I do want to understand from the other perspective, basically.
So I've spoken about this a lot because my dad is big on this. My dad defends the women and I defend the men. It's just how we get a conversation going. I have seen women be beyond violent. I've seen them be aggressive. I have seen them yell to the point that my heart starts to beat uncontrollably. And it's terrifying. And I have seen men do the same. And I have seen men be physically violent, and I've seen women be physically violent. I'm Arab. But it comes with the lifestyle. Alhamdulillah, things have changed a lot. But I can understand, and I have witnessed a woman pushing a man to such extremes and badgering him and pushing him and beating him to the point that he'll just push her off because he explodes, because it's human nature. And yes, it's insane when a guy does it and they berate a man 10,000 times more. And I've seen the opposite. I've seen a woman be so meek and so weak and so vulnerable, and a man take advantage of that and abuse it. Abuse in all of its forms is beyond disgusting. It is not in our book. It is not what our Prophet ﷺ taught us. He never lifted a finger on a woman. Like, let's not get that twisted. So there is no world where you will ever convince me any form of abuse, sexual, verbal, physical, will ever be allowed or condoned in Islam. We don't stand by it. But can women be just as aggressive as men? Absolutely. Is it not spoken about as much? Yeah, because me slapping you and you slapping me are going to bruise a little differently, and I get that. And also, the same way they say a lot of women are scared to speak out, a lot of men are scared to speak out. And it's a twisted world where we label men as aggressive and violent and they need help, but no one wants to acknowledge how women are. And if a woman ever beat a man, it'll be like, yeah, but what did he do? Why did he cheat on her? Like, it doesn't matter. I will say one thing though, and this will be in defense of my women. I don't care what she does. I don't care if she scratched, clawed, and beat the life out of you. You don't raise a hand at her. Do you know what you do? You exit that situation, because at the end of the day, you are a leader and you have to take responsibility for why you are in said situation. The same way I'm very harsh on women that, why are you still in a toxic relationship? He disrespects you or beats you or, and you're still there. Oh, because it's so hard for her to leave. She's for her life. I don't know what. We live in a day and age where it is a lot easier for you to get out of it. Is it hard? Yes, but pick your hard. So the same way I say that to women, I'll say that to men. You are a leader. You are a man. You never lift a finger. You're with a crazy woman. Exit the situation. Khalas. This is where we can't keep blaming everyone else for our troubles and our woes. If I'm in a toxic relationship, it is now my job to exit said relationship. That's it. You can't keep blaming every Tom, Dick, and Harry for your problems. But I will never, no matter how crazy your woman is, condone a man lifting a finger on a woman. Exit the situation. Khalas. Does that make sense?
Yes.
What do you think? Because I can understand a woman, like if I were screaming at the top of my lungs and we're stuck in a house between four walls and I'm hitting you and throwing things at you, I can understand exploding and just pushing me. Not condoning it, but I can understand where scenarios like this could happen. I can see why they would happen. But do you understand what I mean by exit the situation and just don't lift a finger?
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Where I'm playing devil's advocate,
Go for it.
we have, in today's day and age, such high divorce rates.
Yeah,
right?
we do. Yeah.
Whereas I don't agree with it. Again, like women, I think before would, or men as well, like they would fight for their marriage. They would fight for their relationship, even if it meant that, okay, maybe we're going through a phase or whatever. And they say that Shaitan's biggest achievement is breaking a marriage. One of his biggest achievements is breaking a marriage. So where do we draw the line? Because if, for example, we exit every situation and we don't actually deal with the problem at hand, where will we be? Like, what is the tolerance levels of one another? Like, how do we have those marriages that we looked at many years ago where they're together for 20, 30, 40, 50 years and we don't necessarily see the cracks on the outside? Some may call it oppression within the marriage, but what's more important? Is it more important to hold a marriage together, or is it more important to value oneself and exit when one feels that this is wrong?
Not every problem is worth fixing. Not every problem is worth fixing. Some things are not your responsibility to take on. If I am with a broken man, it is not my responsibility to fix him. If you are with a broken woman, it is not your responsibility to fix her. There is a limit to what you can do. And if divorce was incredibly frowned upon, our Prophet wouldn't have allowed it. It is a mercy in Islam that we have the right to get divorced, and it's a mercy for both men and women. Now, you should never enter a relationship with divorce being on the table, because you're setting yourself up for failure. That's just, why are you even bothering? But things happen. Sometimes you are deceived. A man can deceive you or a woman can deceive you. You don't really know what you're getting into until you're married. Yeah. We don't know what happens behind closed doors. You don't know the demons that people fight, the addictions that people fight, the mental health issues that people have. If you're dealing with someone who's, God forbid, bipolar or aggressive, or why is that your job to fix? Because you got married? Our Prophet ﷺ and our God told you, you have the right to divorce. And I think this is where people also get it a little twisted, is that our Prophet ﷺ, after Sayyidina Khadija, except for Sayyidina Aisha, most of the women he married were divorcees and widows. And we have made it taboo to marry a divorcee with kids or a widow with kids or a divorcee without kids, when it is an honor to actually do so. So once you take a step back and look at Islam from the outside, everything has a purpose. So I understand wanting to save a marriage, and that's beautiful. And if you do get married, I really hope to any man or woman that you're married to a beautiful partner who is your mirror in this dunya and who helps you find God. But if you are married to someone who brings out the worst in you, then God has given you the option to exit with grace. There is a way to do it, bi-ihtiram. You can be very graceful and not vindictive and not whatever we see on TV with these divorce lawyers and these fights that they have. It's crazy. You don't have to take them for everything they're worth. Just khalas, exit, bow out, and go find your peace. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. And what's your thoughts on multiple wives? That is definitely one that's gonna.
I have spoken about this.
It's gonna ruffle up some feathers, but I mean,
okay.
You obviously live your life by the book, right? And we also have to be mindful of what works in today's day and age. Some
Yes.
people would say, look, that was a different context.
Yes.
It was different times. One is enough today
Yes.
in today's day and age. And others would say, no, I'm within my right. I can marry 4 wives, I want to. And I honestly have met people that, openly say that, they want to marry multiple wives. Certain countries don't allow it, obviously, by the law. But that doesn't stop them, of course. So what is your genuine take on that?
They are not within their rights. Because to say it is within my rights because the Prophet ﷺ had multiple wives is you are equating yourself to the level of the Prophet ﷺ without actually living the way the Prophet ﷺ intended. This conversation. Okay. Go through the history. It's the fact that you have to teach people history to begin with. The Prophet ﷺ was married to Sitna Khadija for a very long time and was very, very, very loyal to her. And then 2 years after she passed away, he really mourned her. She was the love of his life. I'll throw a rock in any direction. Hit a man. Find me a man who understands what that means to be so loyal. And a woman. I'm not a feminist, so I'm going to say and a woman who really knows what it means to be so in love and so loyal that you mourn the death of your partner for 2 years. Let's start there. And then number 2 is when he had multiple wives, there was an adab and there's an akhlaq and a ta'zeem to the Prophet ﷺ that we seem to have lost as Muslims. You don't, number 1, equate yourself to the Prophet ﷺ, and you don't pick and choose what you want. So you want to skip all of it and just go like, oh, the 4 wives kind of sounds nice, let's go. It's not how it works. Do you know what I mean? And then it was a time of war, it was a time of strife. He married widows and orphans and to shelter them and take care of them and. It's not a luxury, it's a responsibility, and it is beyond what a sacrifice could be. And I've had men reach out to me after I've spoken up about this and say, you are so right, and it's not a sacrifice that I can handle. And that's what it means to put your ego aside and to really want to follow the Prophet ﷺ. If you are a man of means, of wealth, and you tell me I want to go to Sudan or to Gaza and to take one of these widows with their children and take care of her because it is my duty as a Muslim man to shelter these Muslim women, who am I to say no? Because my ego doesn't like it? No. But these men don't have that manhood, that resilience, that sense of duty, that sense of sacrifice. It doesn't exist in today's world. Therefore, it is not possible. And mind you, in the Quran, it's if you can be just between the 4, which I think is the greatest test to men, because I don't think you can be just. We struggle to be just towards one another as friends, as a monogamous partnership. You think you can be just to 4? What could be more egotistical? What could be a greater sense of self-grandeur than you convincing yourself that you have the ability to do that? And I will end it by saying, in no way, shape, or form am I saying as a woman you should tolerate it. Number 1, he can't do it without asking for your permission. And number 2, you are entirely within your right to say no. Entirely. A time, a place, a day, an age. It's 2 very different things. But as a Muslim, I can't negate what's in my Quran. I don't have the right to do that. Do you see what I mean? Because that would be me saying the Prophet ﷺ was wrong. And you will never push me into a corner to say my Prophet ﷺ was wrong. Never. It's never going to happen. So that's my answer.
Love that. One other thing that I find that a lot of women struggle with, or the ones that, the ones I've come across,
Yes.
is a balance between being a strong woman and a courageous, bold, fearless woman, whilst also being soft and feminine and nurturing at the same time. It's almost like they're battling within themselves. How do you find that fine balance? And is there a need to have that balance?
Well, there is a need to have that balance for sure, especially in today's day and age where I want to see women thrive and succeed, and I want to see them be the best Muslims they possibly can be, while also being the best mother or the best entrepreneur. Whatever cards you've been dealt is okay. This is what we don't understand. By me saying that I love the traditions of Islam, they think that it's I don't want women to work. No, we live in a day and age that maybe, God forbid, your dad passed away, something happened, and you were required to be the sole breadwinner of your family. What could be more honorable than taking care of your family as a man or a woman? So I am for all of it. But is there a need for a balance? Absolutely. Don't lose yourself in what the world has become today. So yeah, when I leave my house, I have to put my big boy pants on and I have to deal with certain men and women, certain demonic entities and certain angelic entities. This is the dunya that we live in today. But I also, my God comes first. So I have to find the balance and the moderation of what Islam has asked for me. And this is the beauty of Islam, is that we are moderate. So am I strong? Yes, but within moderation. Am I feminine? Yes, but within moderation. I'm not feminine to the point that I'm just a ditz walking around in this world and anyone could take advantage of me. But I'm not so strong that you can't approach me and have a beautiful conversation and maybe shed tears over our love of the Prophet ﷺ. Moderation.
Have you struggled with that though? Or
Moderation?
Did you always find it easy to balance?
No, I really struggled with it, of course. I think I was too soft and then I became too strong. And my dad would always tell me, you need to check your manhood at the door. Like, you can't. Like, when you're working, I get it, boss, all of that. He's like, the second you're at home, you need to clock it out. I'd be like, that's such an easy thing to say. What are you? I was like, how? I'm like, my phone rings and it's a work message, and I would get so stressed. And then one day, just hit me. And I can't explain it to you because I prayed for it. And then God just softened my heart more. And there are things that you just need to pray on. Not everything will come with a physical solid answer. Some things just require a little bit of humility. The 5 minutes it takes you to go make wudu and pray and say, Ya Rabbi, I don't know. Show me the way. Or just allow me to be what I'm praying to be. And some things won't happen with an active, conscious decision, but a subconscious green light from God. And that's the beauty as well, is that not everything needs to be so in our control.
Do you think that you mentioned about, like, going back to when we were talking about abuse, you talked about a man is a leader. So at the end of the day, he needs to take responsibility for being the leader. What do you say to women that struggle to be led? Because that's a serious thing, right? I mean, you can be a leader, but if a woman is not willing to be led, how do you deal with that?
As a man?
Yeah, like, I mean, from a woman's perspective, like, what would you say to those women that don't want to be led? They refuse to be led. They feel that, you know, men are trash, this and that. And it's like this thing of division where I feel like the current climate that we live in is like men and women are almost being pushed apart, like we're supposed to be enemies, but really we're supposed to be together. And when we're together, we are stronger and we can achieve anything. And these are things that I believe. But at the same time, how do you balance it? Because if a woman doesn't want to be led and you're trying your best and you're being a leader and all these things, but she doesn't want to be led, is it just an exit situation again? Or can that be taught? Because obviously you battled with that yourself. So is it possible to actually teach that? Because sometimes, like you said, advice can sometimes become condescending. And I think sometimes in today's day and age, women feel that as a man, we're almost condescending them, or we're belittling them, or we're trying to put them in a little box to stay here. But sometimes we're actually doing it for their own good, for their own well-being, for their own, for their own self, right? So how do we advise people that are in that situation?
This is where I'll say it's a case-by-case basis. Is it just an exit situation? In some cases, yeah. But my dad and I had a video once where I said, you can take the camel to the water, but you can't force it to drink. And he was like, but you still take the camel to the water. And that really hit me and my audience in a way because, again, the grace. Do you see what I mean? Now, if she doesn't want to be led, she doesn't want to be led. Don't deprive yourself as a man of an opportunity.
But what if it's not her fault? What if she's just been brainwashed? She's just been bombarded left, right, center that, you're a leader as well. Women can lead too. Women are strong. Like, what if it's not their fault?
I understand that. But again, I understand that. But I think also when you're saying she doesn't want to be led, it can mean so many different things. Because it can mean she entirely rejects your leadership and wants to wear the pants in the relationship. And if you as a man, that's not what you want to subscribe to, you're entirely within your right. The same way she's within her right to do whatever she wants to do. But again, brainwashed is brainwashed. It is what it is. But is it your job to go heal every person? No. You can do your best within your limited time on this earth, but our time is limited on this earth. I'm not here trying to teach a man how to lead, and you're not here trying to teach a woman how to follow. And again, people hear the word follow and it's like, oh my God, you're a pick me, and what do you mean follow a man in this day and age?
These trigger words, right? Trigger
words. I also saw this round table or something with these Hollywood actresses, and they were saying, when has a girl ever looked at a guy in a situation and been like, what do we do now? I'm like, who are these men that you're surrounded by? I look at my dad, I'm like, Daddy, what do we do? Because he's a man. I look at my mom and I'm like, Mama, what do I do? And sometimes I look to myself and I'm like, okay, God told you what to do. You know what to do. But this concept that we want to label that men can't lead or women have to be better than men is ridiculous to me, and it doesn't fall under the notion of Islam. That's why I reject it entirely. But you as a man, to the women who don't want to be led, Khayti, you don't want to be led, go be a boss. Go find a man who goes to therapy that you want to lead. Let me know how that works out. That's my answer to that. Because I would love to be led. I would love to. It doesn't mean that I would not be the woman that I am, and I would not have the opinions that I have, and I would not be the Muslim woman that I am today. I would have all of that. But what a beauty it is to have a genuine man who understands what God is, to be in your corner leading you. And as a man, what a beautiful thing it is to have a woman, marry her for her deen, to have a woman who's so deeply embedded in God, and she is your cheerleader and your nurturer in your corner. People have lost the plot. I don't know what could be more beautiful. I don't know why we're fighting a pissing contest. I don't understand. I don't want to lead. Take it.
I have a theory. It might be a conspiracy theory, but
oh, tell me. I love me a conspiracy
I feel
theory.
that like the nuclear family was when we were the strongest,
Okay.
and I feel that when we're separated, we're not as strong, and so like capitalism targets us as individuals, right? As women, as men, as individuals. And actually, it hinders capitalism when women and men are together, because they're more strong. They make decisions together. They do things together, right? Whereas now it's like everything's become about this capitalism and separation and red versus blue and men versus women and Muslim versus non-Muslim. I just feel that there's constant division, and I just struggle sometimes to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Like, how do we heal as people to come together? Like even, for example, sometimes leadership qualities can rub people the wrong way.
Oh, 100%.
Like a good leader can be judged as an egomaniac, or he always knows the way, or he thinks he's always right, or he never listens, and sometimes it's just these little things that will sometimes push someone in their corner as well. And I honestly have seen people that now they fear women,
Oh, yeah.
They fear women to the point that they think, oh, I don't want to get married because what if she takes everything from me? Or, I don't want to do this because, what if she gets in the way of my family? Or, all of these negative things before even getting into it,
100%.
Just always thinking about the negatives. Like we've seen that example of Hakimi, the footballer. I don't know if you've seen it.
No.
So Hakimi is a footballer. It was like a game changer in the West because he was the first man who publicly kind of went through a public divorce, and all of his assets was on his mother's name. So when he was going through the courts, his wife couldn't get anything because he didn't actually own anything.
Wow.
And so the West saw it as city boys are up. This is a great example. This is finally the men are getting back after all the men that have been trapped or suffered, because it does happen like in the West, a man will build something and he could lose half of his wealth, right?
I understand.
And so that has become such a fear for young men, especially Gen Z, that it stops them from getting married, or they overthink everything, or they think, oh no, I have to have a prenup, even if they don't have any assets. They just think, no, I can't do this, or I can't do a civil marriage, or whatever it may be. So what do we do there? Because like now it's almost like there's a fear of doing the right thing. Like our religion teaches us we should get married. It's advised. Okay, you complete half your deen. Correct. So what do we advise those young people? Because we have a lot of young people watching that maybe in that frame of mind, and then they just go too much towards the Andrew Tate side, thinking that
don't get me
this
started
is the right
on
direction.
Brother Tate's. I was in his corner. I really was. I was rooting for him, but alas, I had to tap out of that one. But yeah, I was in his corner for a while. So I'll tell you something. The days of the Prophet ﷺ, the government wasn't involved in our marriages. I'll start there, but not to get too political. But my dad gave a story on one of our last episodes about a woman who went to the Prophet ﷺ and said, I want to get a divorce. Why? I don't like him anymore. Khas, I can't stand the sight of his face. And they were like, okay, trying to fix it, whatever. And then she was like, no, can't stand the sight of his face. He was like, okay, the garden he gifted you when you got married, give it back to him. That was it. And they were each one was on their merry way. So this concept of I have to take you for ring you up for everything that you've got, I think is quite demonic and is so purposefully done. And also, let's not forget divorce lawyers, some of them are bajillionaires. Like, it's an industry the same way chemotherapy is an industry, the same way big pharma is an industry. Everyone's here just literally bleeding themselves dry for a world that does not care about you. But I think it depends on the situation and how you were raised. If, for example, you've given a man the best 25 years of your life and he cheats on you with a secretary that's 20 years younger than you, take half his money. Go live your best life. I can understand that. Do you know what I mean? You also, as a man, you can't take the best years of a woman's life and not honor her. Do you know what I mean? And we've heard that story time and time again. Women are just as likely to cheat nowadays too. So you also can't be like, oh, I've fallen out of love with you. I'm sleeping with a pool boy and I'm going to take half your money. And again, my most important point, all of this has nothing to do with Islam. We have the way we divorce and the way we do things the right way, by the way, the way it was intended is just for the man, the women, and the children. So before even approaching the idea of marriage, men are afraid to approach women in public now because they're scared she's gonna scream sexual assault. It's insane that we've come to this point. Now they'll tell you women rarely cry wolf. No, they do. No, I've seen it. I've witnessed it firsthand. They do, you know? So it's really sad because it takes away from real stories and real pains and real traumas. The world's just gone to hell. Satan's in hell heaven playing limbo. He's really having a hoot and a half.
But it's conversations like this that I think slowly, I mean, the work that you're doing, obviously, it really helps slowly shift a generation and see a different perspective, I think. Because honestly, like, it's sad to see how lost people can be nowadays. Like, it's really, really sad.
I agree. I also think, just to say last thing about the divorce, and this is something that has really helped me maneuver, especially like my relationship with money and just life in general. If as a woman, your husband's divorcing you or cheated on you or let's say unfortunately one of these scenarios has happened, don't take half his money and leave. Just leave, because that's equating that your blessing and your abundance still comes from him and not from God. God is the one who blesses you. God is the one who opens doors for you. Save yourself the trauma and the pain and just exit with grace and go find your peace. God will always bless you. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I'm not for this demonic Western, take him for half of his worth, take her for half her worth. It's not what we were taught to do.
Do you think that, let's say, in the modern day, we see it a lot where it's more common for both husband and wife to be working?
Yeah, it's done by design.
It's done by design, right? And women also feel a pressure that, you know, they need to get a career, they need to work and so on. And sometimes they just want to have their freedom, they want to also earn their own money, and that's absolutely fine. But then the argument becomes about, do the same laws apply? Should a woman contribute? Should she not? Is it all her money? Should she share it? Should they work together?
No.
What's
what does Islam say? Your money is our money?
Yes.
My money? My money.
But
stays my money.
Okay, but
your God said this. My prophets and my God say this. Khalas, I don't question it.
Okay, that's fine. That's within your right, right? You're saying is within your right.
Yes.
But then do you still want to
100%. Listen, so I did a video about Cristiano Ronaldo. I don't know if you saw it. No. Okay. Oh my God, the Georgina one. Georgina. Yeah. Okay. And I said that Cristiano Ronaldo said that what makes Georgina so special and why he loves her, it's because of how she takes care of him and the kids and all of that. Yes, I love her body, but that's not what makes me love her. It's how she takes care of me, makes the house a home. I personally thought that was a gorgeous, splendid, divine answer. The female rage once again did not. And it's so interesting because as a woman, what could mean more to me than a man providing for me and taking care of me? If it's that time of month, he makes me a little hot water bottle, has a cup of hot cocoa with me, gives me money, flies me out, allows me to be the best mom I can be for my children by leading. Now, he has to do everything to make my life as pleasant as possible. He has to lead and earn the title of a leader. And it's a lot of work and it's a lot of sacrifice and it's a lot of responsibility. If a man does that for me, I will happily make him a sandwich. Baby boo, do you want mensaf for dinner? From my eyes. Like, I don't understand why that's such a big deal.
Some people think they're too good for it. Like,
no,
you know,
I will.
I'm entitled to everything, yet I'm not
but
giving you
again,
anything.
if you as a man married that kind of woman, what are you doing? And if you as a woman married that kind of man, what are you doing? Again, we all have to kind of take responsibility and assume some responsibility for the decisions that we've made and the actions that we've taken that have led us to the life that we live. And it's never too late to tap out and to genuinely go find your peace. But this concept of if a man takes care of me, I want to take care of him just as hard. Also, love languages. I believe everyone should have all 5. Quality time, gifting, physical touch, words of affirmation.
Acts of service.
And acts of service. So if you are my husband and you're doing all of this for me, women are nurturers by nature. It will be in my nature to want to take care of you, to want to make your house and your life and your home as beautiful and as easy and bring taysir into your life. Otherwise, what am I doing? What's the point? And you as a man, why would you keep giving if all I do is take? That's a little crazy. Because why would I give if all you do is take? This is where I'm like, women need to relax a little and men need to relax a little. Everyone's just lost the plot. I'm going to be honest.
Do you think social media has a part to play for that?
100%.
I'm an advocate for social media in the sense that, you know, I wouldn't have a business today if it wasn't for social media. My business is all about social media. I wouldn't have a voice without social media. And there's a lot of good, but I do feel this constant sense of comparison with social media. We see more women on our timelines than people would have seen in their lifetime.
It's softcore porn.
Literally.
It is softcore porn. They're desensitizing you to women and men and nudity and sex and
variety.
Oh, yes. And what's the word I'm looking for? The instant pleasure, instant gratification.
Yes.
The detriment to the psyche is almost irreversible.
But we can't, like, if we completely come off social media, we're also losing. So how do we find that balance? Because I mean, obviously it begins with us, but we can't help that we are the guinea pigs. They are working on us.
Oh, we're patient zero. Yeah.
No matter how, good we think we are, we're still, gonna fall to the traps. So what are some like practical things that we can do to maybe lessen the negative impacts of social media?
It's interesting that you ask this because I was, subhanAllah, thinking about something similar, about just how disciplined I have to be and how hard I have to work to stay on the right track. And so it's interesting because social media, there's this OnlyFans model, whatever, that made almost as much as LeBron James made, which is an insanity. Who have we made famous and rich blows my mind. And us Muslim, for example, content creators have to work twice as hard for half as much. It's okay. It's done by design.
But there's beauty in integrity.
There's so much beauty in integrity. Nothing could be more beautiful. But I have to work twice as hard. I don't consume as much content as I post out. So I post my video and I tap out. I have to, and sometimes when I do consume, to get some, modern, what's happening in the world today that I can address, what's going on that we need to talk about, I have to go pray twice as hard, go read a book twice as much, go for a run. I have to work twice as hard to not allow the distraction to affect my psyche, because everything is a subliminal subconscious message. But there are ways to counteract it, but we're fighting the good fights. God's on our side. Yeah. Alhamdulillah, sacrifices need to be made. So yeah, we can fall victim to the distraction, or you can be conscious of your life and choose not to.
Do you feel that there's an etiquette, though, on how to behave on social media? Because there's a lot of new problems that we didn't have, like you like that girl's picture, or you follow that girl, or why, it's
I get what you're saying.
Do you get what I mean? Like we like in your parents' times, or, in 20, 30 years ago, we would, let's say, go to work, we come home, and that's it. We're locked in with our families. We go back to work the next day, and that's it, right? Whereas now we have so many new problems that are new kind of arguments. And I think that talking about the OnlyFans thing, I blame men, to be honest, because men are the ones that are buying it.
I blame both.
I think women, obviously, they shouldn't put themselves in position first, but there's so many people buying it. Why are they buying it?
I think the men should be leaders. I agree with you. I think if the men just put their foot down and was like, no, the women would have no one to perform for anymore. I understand what you're saying. I blame both, because we've just lived in a day and age where everyone needs to assume responsibility for their actions.
So the responsibility is the etiquette, right, that we have. And we know what's right and wrong. But I think some people don't. I think some people, the line gets blurred. For example, someone may consider me liking your post as wrong. Maybe, who knows?
I understand
you
that.
know, but I see it as no. I'm supporting another female in Islam, and she's doing amazing things, and I want to support. And there's no harm in that. There's extremes on all sides, right? But
Absolutely.
Where do you think the etiquette begins? Is it just respect for one another, a moral respect?
The niyyah, the intention. الأعمال بالنيات. It's the intention. If you're genuinely, for example, liking my post to support your sister in Islam, beautiful, amazing. I would do the same. But it depends on why you're following someone and why you're liking and why you're commenting. Because nowadays you have a lot of people who are commenting and liking for clout and for clickbait. You have a lot of people stitching and acting like, oh, they're giving their opinion because it's the right thing to do when it's really not. At the end of the day, no, I can't accuse you of what your intention is, but you're going to go to sleep and God knows your intention. Like, you know. Do you know what I mean? And to some people, they just don't care. But this is also the sense of the wishy-washiness of people. Of like, yeah, I followed her. Yeah, I liked his post. Yeah, I liked her post. And people don't do things with intention. And I'm talking about very conscious, powerful intention. Also, as a man, if you're following women on social media and you're accessible, it's very unattractive. Your mom carried you for 9 months, pushed you out for you to be liking a girl's posts on Instagram. Come on now, have some dignity. No, I really think men need to regain their mystery and their not being able to be accessed. If you belong to the streets, you belong to the streets, whether you're a man or a woman. But as a man, no.
You're triggering some people right now.
Happily. As a man, if you're on social media liking a girl's thirst traps, ya lahwi. Your mom carried you for 9 months and pushed you out for you to be a big boy. Just like, oh, that's nice. Like, that's insanity to me. Y'all used to go to war. Now you go to therapy and drink matcha.
We've become soft, huh? How do you balance culture versus religion? You obviously come from an Arab Palestinian background. I come from an Asian background, and I see it all the time that culture sometimes overtakes religion, and some views are based on culture rather than religion. How do we balance the two? Because we have to respect both. Or do we have to respect both?
You said we have to respect both, and I kind of went like, no, we don't, in my mind, and I'm wondering why I thought that. So let me ponder on that for a bit. But I don't know if we have to respect both. I need to think about that for a little bit. But I think it's the biggest problem with Islam today is that adat taqalid, which is culture and tradition, has trumped religion. And it is not what we were put on this earth to do. Now, I can respect Jordanian culture. Beautiful. I can respect a lot of Asian cultures, from China to India to Pakistan to Malaysia to Indonesia. Beautiful, oldest time culture, like very old, rich history. But your right to your culture and tradition stops where the right of Islam starts. So you know how they say freedom of speech, that I can say whatever I want, whenever I want, which blows my mind, because my right ends where your rights begin. And it's not my right to abuse you or insult you or discredit you or in ways that are just vicious. You know what I mean? So the rights of culture and tradition stop, halt, pause, that they do not move an inch forward where the rights of Islam are. And Islam will always trump culture and tradition. And if the culture and tradition negates or goes against what Islam is, then it's wrong. Plain and simple, wrong. There's no two ways about it. Because culturally, women put them in these boxes, and you're not allowed, and you're not allowed, and you're not allowed. If religiously I'm allowed, then I don't care for your culture. It's just that simple. Because once again, I follow my God and my Prophet ﷺ, and nothing will sway me from that. Because otherwise you're telling me that they're wrong, and that's never up for debate, ever. What do you think?
I agree.
Because we come from cultures that are quite intense.
Very intense.
Yeah.
I think I've actually always had that battle, to be honest. I don't like culture, to be honest. I run away from it. Because I find that the culture completely, it's completely the opposite in some cases. I mean,
Absolutely.
I can only speak from my own background, ethnicity, and so on. And I genuinely see my own people doing things that are completely against Islam. But they consider it okay because it's part of the culture. And if we say anything about it, we are ruining culture. We are being disrespectful.
We're the new open-minded generation. So I, just as a man, because this is something that's interesting to me, because so you're saying that you don't like the culture and tradition because you've seen it take precedence over religion, which is something you don't abide by, which I really appreciate and respect. But with that, the result of that is that people will talk, right? And gossip, and they might criticize you or your wife, God forbid. How do you as a man handle that? Because I've noticed a lot of men might cave into the peer pressure of culture and tradition out of fear of gossip about them and their wives.
No, I don't care. Me personally,
Beautiful.
I don't care because I just feel that we're not here to please
The
people,
creation.
right?
Absolutely.
No, it's true. Like, not just the creation, but like, it's like, who are, like, these people are not gonna be affecting my day to day. Like, what is their opinions matter? I have my own conscience, my own beliefs, my own way of life, and if, like you said, if it goes completely against Islam or it's the opposite, then it's wrong. It's wrong. Like, Western is also a culture. We can also follow Western culture.
100%.
So why do we have to necessarily follow Eastern culture just because it's been there for hundreds of years?
I fully agree. And also, opinion is the lowest form of intellect. I've said this time and time again. It requires nothing for you to just spew an opinion, just to, beat your own chest and act like you're an intellect or that you have something to offer. I don't come from a place of opinion. I come from a place of haqq, and this is where people have really lost the plot. There's your opinion and my opinion and your reality and my reality, but there is the truth that doesn't waver based on your feelings and my feelings. And this is why I don't care for people's opinions, because also, where were you when I couldn't afford noodles 5 years ago? Are you going to be there when I can't afford my electrical bill? If the lights go out, are you there or is God there? God, always. He's the beginning, the middle, and the end, and the answer to everything. So I don't care what people say. They can yap all day long.
Layla, honestly, it's been a pleasure. I think we can go for another 2-3 hours.
Yeah, I
can
know.
tell you're a podcaster, of course. We didn't really get to talk too much about your success, but honestly,
God is my success,
you've
so this is
achieved
perfect.
so much, and I really do feel a sense of a proud kind of brother watching, because I just feel that we're in a world where so many people are lost, and if it's not for people like yourself who are courageous enough to have a voice, I mean, it would be way worse, right? We're healing a little bit. So please continue doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
My final question is, well, I've got 2 final questions.
Go
One
for
is,
it.
what does success mean to you? And number 2 is, if you were to give yourself a piece of advice for younger Layla, like you said, you had battles with your father, you listened to him though, but you did have your battles. What would you say to young Layla that maybe would get rid of some of the hardship that you went through?
Oh, so the first question is, what does success mean to me? Success is if I can go into sujood or put my head on a pillow and go to sleep and not be afraid that God has seen what I've done today. That is the epitome of success to me, is if I can go to sleep with a smile on my face because I have done my God and my Prophet ﷺ justice, and I've brought beauty and peace and light and love into everything that they have done to get us to where we are today. That is the definition of success to me. Nothing else matters. If I can go to sleep and I know that my God is happy with me. And I think it's the only thing that should matter. You know what I mean? To me, that's the thing that's anchored me the most. And then for a piece of advice that I would give my younger self, I wouldn't want to change anything, for sure. Everything I have been through or I have done, mistakes and successes alike, have gotten me to where I am today. And alhamdulillah for all of it. But I would tell always, let go and let God. Trust that God has your best interest at heart. Trust that God will get you to where you need to get. And trust that God has you in the hell that you are in now so that He can refine you and polish you and get you ready for the blessings that you prayed for. Otherwise, you will ruin a good thing before you even know it. So that's definitely...
Do you feel that your connection with Allah stems from where you're from? Because I find that, those that I've been privileged to meet that are Palestinian, they have this, just this thing inside of them that they will never let the world be, like, they will never let dunya overtake deen. Yeah. And, we see it, as tragic as it is, we see that these kids, these mothers that are being destroyed, they still submit. They submit till the very end. And And it's actually been one of the main reasons, or one of the main reasons since October 7th, that so many people have reverted.
To Islam,
because
absolutely.
they've seen that, wow, they have nothing. They have no future. They have no hope. But yet they have this firm belief no matter what, because the hereafter is more worthwhile for them. I don't want to belittle it to the point that just because of where you're from, of course, it's an effort. But do you think that's something part of it? Like, do you think that what we're seeing today should allow us to forget the dunya in a sense?
I've reached the point of how can I truly call myself a Palestinian and a Muslim and not have yaqeen in my God, this unwavering faith, after witnessing what has happened to my people. It is a dishonor if I do so, because regardless of anything I've been through, as painful and as hard and as hellish as it was, it will never compare, ever. And I would be doing my people and my God the biggest disservice and be the most disrespectful not to believe in him a million times harder now, if that's even possible, after everything that I've witnessed. If you don't watch the people going through a genocide, and it doesn't humble you to be quiet and learn from them and go self-reflect and try to be even closer to God, you have fundamentally missed the point. And I pray for your soul. So I cannot be Palestinian without being a Muslim. And I know that there are Christian Palestinians, so it's not to negate that. And I cannot be a Muslim without being Palestinian. To me, they come hand in hand today. And I cannot go about it any other way after everything that I've witnessed. So for sure, yeah.
Layla, thank you so much. Honestly, it's been an honor. Is there anything you want to leave with the audience? Anyone that is watched to the end? They've obviously enjoyed your content.
Oh, I hope so.
Anything you want to leave for the audience?
Well, first, I want to say thank you so much for having me. You guys have been delightful. Honestly, I've been on a few podcasts, but this has probably been my favorite. I'm not going to lie.
Yes.
Yeah, 100% has been my favorite. Alhamdulillah. Nothing. I just hope people enjoy. I hope people take everything with a grain of salt, and I hope people allow themselves to unlearn. And if you find that you're triggered by something, maybe ask yourself why. You could learn something new, and it's always a good thing to learn something new. And that's it. I'm just always going to say praise be to the Almighty. And the Prophet ﷺ says, خَبِّرُوا عَنِّي وَلَوْ آيَةً, which means speak about me even if it's one ayah. And that is what I will continue to do as long as I'm allowed.
Do you have a favorite ayah?
I do. It used to be وَعَسَى أَن تَكْرَهُ شَيْءٌ وَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ, because it's what's gotten me through everything and it's what's rewired my brain. Now anything that happens, I look at it and I'm like, that's going to work out in my favor, because maybe I hate it and it's the best thing that'll ever happen to me. But recently, because I do think we live in the most demonic times and it's a battle between good and evil, and I mean that on a very spiritual level, it's وَأَكْثَرُهُمْ لِلْحَقِّ كَارِهُونَ, and most of them hate the truth, and it's what's allowed me to handle the hate that I receive with a smile on my face, because it's okay if they will hate the truth, and no matter what happens, I will stay on the side of truth. It's all I care about.
I love that. Thank you so much, Layla. Really, really been a pleasure. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you go show some love to Layla, of course. And we'll see you on the next episode.